Looks
Yep.
like it. All right, I'd like to call to order our regular city council meeting for Tuesday, September 1st, 2020. Would everyone please unmute themselves and look at Renee's background, the flag, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And justice for all.
Somebody go, I did not stand. Roll call.
And Mayor Mays.
Here.
Council President Rosner.
Here.
Councilor Browse.
Here.
Councilor Garland.
Here.
Councilor Young.
Here.
Councilor Griffin.
Here.
Councilor Scott.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Approval of agenda. We have a very long agenda this evening. Not
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you, council. We have 4 items under the consent agenda. Item A is approval of the August 18th, 2020 City Council meeting minutes. Item B is Resolution 2020-056, appointing Brian Dorsey to the Police Advisory Board. Item C is Resolution 2020-057, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with OTAC to update the Sherwood Zoning and Community Development Code to implement House Bill 2001. And item D is proclamation naming September as National Preparedness Month and September 1st through 7th, 2020 as Home Inventory Week. So be prepared for emergencies and make sure you have everything you need to help you and your family during natural disaster or other disaster.
I move consent.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you, council. Next is citizen comments. Sylvia, do we have any citizen comments tonight?
No, Mayor and Council, we do not.
Thank you, Sylvia. Those watching from home, live or in tape delay, because of this format, we accept citizen comments up to 24 hours in advance of the meeting, and love to hear from you if you have a comment to give. Public hearings. We have 2 public hearings this evening. Sylvia?
Mayor and Council, the city will hold public hearings this evening to hear testimony on ordinance 2020-007, approving annexation into the city of Sherwood and Clean Water Services District of approximately 29.61 acres, comprised of 2 tax lots and adjacent Southwest Tonquin Avenue right-of-way within the Tonquin employment area, and ordinance 2020-008, approving annexation of 10.90 acres the city of Sherwood and 10.50 acres to Clean Water Services within the Tonquin employment area, comprised of 1 tax lot and the adjacent Southwest Oregon Street and Southwest Tonquin Road right-of-way. The public hearing this evening will be conducted as follows. Staff will present staff reports, questions by the City Council for staff. We will receive written testimony, and Mayor and Council, at this time, I have not received any testimony for either one of these ordinances. We will then open the public hearing for comments. We will then close the public hearing. Other comments will be received into the record. Final comments by staff, questions of staff, if any, by the council, followed by discussion for the council. This is the first hearing on both of these ordinances this evening. Generally, the council will hold 2 hearings prior to making a decision. A second hearing on ordinance 007 is currently scheduled for September 21st, and a date for 008. Staff will present information on that one. I believe there was a request for a continuance. Again, staff will have information for ordinance 008. At this time, Mayor, that is the conclusion of my statement.
Thank you, Sylvia. Hi, Joy.
Hi there. All right. Good evening, Mayor Hayes and councilors. I'm actually going to share you my PowerPoint screen. So let me just do that and retrieve it. And can everyone see this?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, excellent. Okay. So I'm Joy Chang, Senior Planner with the Planning Department. In front of you tonight is the Woodburn Industrial, also known as the Kerr Annexation Proposal to the City of Sherwood and Clean Water Services, case file number LU 2020-012AN. The property is comprised of two tax lots. Tax lot 100, the triangular piece to the left reflected on the slide, and tax lot 400, the square right smack in the middle of the slide. The site is located on the east side of Southwest Tonkin Road, approximately 350 feet south of Oregon Street, and is located within the Tonkin employment area. The project site is 28.17 acres of private property, in addition to 1.44 acres of right-of-way, Southwest Tonkin Road right-of-way, encompassing the whole annexation being 29.61 total acres. There are 3 levels of approval criteria as reflected on this slide, state, regional, and local level, and the next couple slides will provide you more details. So the state criteria is listed again on here. In 2016, state legislators passed Senate Bill 1573 that allowed for 100% property owners to initiate annexation so long as the items listed on the slides are met. That would be 100% of property ownership. It's within the urban growth boundary, subject to a comprehensive plan, contiguous to a city, and conforms to all other city ordinances. Again, the annexation proposal, 100% of the property owners signed and initiated this process. The site is inside the urban growth boundary. It was brought into Sherwood in 2004, and it is also contiguous to the city boundary line, as reflected across the street from Tonkin Road. Besides submitting the Senate Bill 1573 annexation petition, as a reminder, in 2012, Sherwood voters authorized annexation of properties in the Tonkin employment area into the city subject to council's public hearing and approval. Furthermore, the applicant is also requesting annexation to Clean Water Service District under the provision of ORS 199.510 sub 2 sub C. This provision allows the site annexing to the city can also be included in the boundary of the service district. And in this case, it's Clean Water Services. City staff has reviewed urban services and determined that it is feasible to service the site as indicated in the staff report. The site is within the Washington County Enhanced Sheriff Patrol District currently, but once annexed, the site will be withdrawn from the county ESPD, and Sherwood Police will serve the site. The proposal is consistent with urban service, Clean Water Services, and Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue agreements. The proposal will also promote orderly facilities, affect human services, and avoid duplication of services. This slide identified the local comprehensive plan and the Tonkin employment area approval criteria. The City of Sherwood completed the Tonkin employment concept plan in 2010, and as described in the staff report, all the growth management and Tonkin employment area criteria have been met for annexation. Once the site is annexed into the city boundary, employment industrial, the EI zoning, will be applied to the site. And based on the criteria in Senate Bill 1573 and ORS 199.510 sub 2 sub C, metro annexation criteria and the city policies in the comp plan and the Tonkin Employment Area Concept Plan. Staff recommends approval of the Woodburn Industrial Annexation petition to the City of Sherwood and Clean Water Services District. And tonight, the council can either adopt ordinance 2020-007 with a unanimous vote, or hold the first public hearing tonight, then hold the second reading on September 15th. That concludes my presentation and can answer any questions you guys may have.
Thank you, Joy. Questions, council?
I had a question. So in 2012, when the voters authorized annexation of the property, so was that a city initiative? The city put that on the ballot for the voters to approve that, or?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay.
Kind of following up on that, this is, I think, there've been at least the second, maybe third time where we've had a recent annexation where the annexation is coming in under 1573, even though it doesn't have to, because it was approved by the voters previously and we could just bring it in as a council. Is there a reason these applications keep coming in with the Senate Bill 1573 provision, and why we're not just bringing them in under the pre-approved vote of the people and by city council action? I realize
I'll
it's a distinction
that,
without a
and
difference, but it's perception.
I don't think we know. I think that there's probably a little bit more certainty for property owners / developers to go through a known process that's the Senate Bill 1573 versus going through the city. But I don't know. Joy and Erica, I don't think we've heard specifically a reason why they're choosing that option over the other.
Right. I definitely do think that there is more certainty, just because the criteria is pretty straightforward. And typically, once they meet all of that criteria, there really isn't a mechanism to not be able to annex them in.
Yeah, because in theory, we could, if they came into the council, we could deny it. So that makes sense. It's to be important for me, for the public to understand that this was a previously voted on annexation and consistent with the way annexations happened prior to 2016.
So
Kim has sorry, Joy, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the applicant and their representative is available to provide testimony, or if you have any questions.
Would the applicant like to? You have a right to speak for your application.
Sure, I'll take a few moments. Can you guys hear me fine?
Yep.
Thanks for the opportunity to talk tonight. We're excited about joining up with the city there, and certainly appreciate Joy and Julia and the staff there and helping get this process moving along and the recommendation for approval. And we're very familiar with the area out there. Kerr Contractors does a bunch of heavy work, heavy civil grading, and we're currently working on 2 other sites that have just been brought into the annexation, both the Trammell Crow site and the Phelan Development site there on Cyple Road. This site that we've owned now for upwards of 3 years has received significant interest from these developers, both the 2 I discussed earlier and probably a half dozen more. And then we're engaged in talks to bring that all in. We've been working with city staff so far on the access plans, trying to get that all figured out. But we're eager to get into the city and help the city get the employment up in the area, get the taxes up. And if you have any questions of our staff, both Mike and Reed are available for any technical questions.
Awesome. Kim, you have your hand up?
No, I just didn't put it back down again. I wish it would go down. I wish it would know when I talk and it would put itself down.
Oh, that's the next update. Joy or Julia, the packet for each of these ordinances today, they're enormous. It seems, I mean, I don't know what the applicant spent to put this whole thing together, but it seems incredibly onerous of a process, or am I being a little too critical?
It is definitely changing, making sure that the legal description and the map is pristine, and there's a lot of work even before it comes to the city in regards to getting it to this level. But with the applicant, it is a requirement for them to address all the approval criteria for us to be able to write findings stating that we do agree with them. So I'm just trying to figure out how we would be able to streamline it, because their application is included as part of the packet. And that's the 100 pages worth of documents.
Yeah.
And I'll also add, and again, Joy and Erica, correct me if I'm wrong, but because of the method that they chose, the 1573, and it's basically, if they meet these criteria, you really have to approve it. They have a little bit more burden to demonstrate up front than if it was not going through that process.
Okay. Other questions?
This is when we're thankful for electronic packets.
Yeah.
Other questions for staff or the applicant? Tim's hand is up.
And it's down. No, less of a question and more of a just, I'm just excited about this opportunity and bringing more employment land into the city of Sherwood. It aligns with our council goals in terms of economic development and bringing more jobs to Sherwood. So I'm pretty pleased to see this moving forward. We've been watching that land out there for many, many years, waiting for it to come in.
Yeah. And point blank, these two lots were in the bottom half of lots that I would have put on in an order of coming into town. So that's exciting. Doug's hand is up.
Yeah, just to kind of echo, I think Tim said some of what I wanted to say, and I would certainly, given that this is a high priority of council, one of our primary goals and a goal that's been well vetted by the community, I would certainly be in favor of doing this by unanimous consent in the first reading if the rest of the council so agrees.
That was going to be my question as well tonight, being that this does fall under Senate Bill 1573. We didn't get any comment on it tonight, so I guess there's the option to potentially leave it open for comment. Quite frankly, I don't foresee a lot of public comment on an item like this. I would also favor moving forward with just at least moving for a vote tonight on this one, given the Senate bill criteria as is. But that's just my comments there.
I would ask, maybe ask the applicant, is there a rush? Is there a reason we need to move quickly? I tend to agree with the facts of what Councilor Garland and Councilor Scott brought up in terms of public comment on this, but if there's no reason to move fast, I think there's some value, and if there's someone sitting out there going, I didn't know about this, I want to comment on it, having a chance to do that. So I guess my question is there a rush from the applicant side that it needs to get done tonight, or are they comfortable with it waiting a couple weeks?
So I would answer that two ways. I'm comfortable with it waiting a couple weeks. I do have one interested party right now that, as part of his conditions, the annexation is one of the pre-existing conditions. So that would be my preference, obviously, to get it over with. But
Awesome. Kim, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, because I'm usually one of the ones who's hesitant on not doing things for second readings, but that's why I wanted to clarify that the voters had already voted on this in 2012. So by that, they've already authorized council to annex us. So I would be also okay with doing a unanimous approval this evening.
see a lot of head nods. Would someone like to, if there's no other discussion, would someone like to say the appropriate things?
I'm good with that.
So Tim, you want to make the motion?
I do not have that exact verbiage right in front of me, so no, I'm not going to make the motion. Not
Is-
Renee.
because I don't
Renee.
support it, though.
Where's Renee when we need her?
I move that we recaption and adopt ordinance 2020-007, approving annexation into the city of Sherwood a clean water services district of approximately 29.61 acres, comprised of 2 tax lots and adjacent southwest Tonquin Avenue right-of-way within the Tonquin employment area.
Second.
I'm sorry, Mayor, that second was from whom?
Counselor Young.
Councilor Young, thank you. Ordinance 2020-007, approving annexation into the city of Sherwood and Clean Water Services District of approximately 29.61 acres, comprised of 2 tax lots and adjacent southwest Tonquin Avenue right-of-way within the Tonquin employment area. Give me a moment to get to my vote. Councilor Scott?
Aye.
Councilor Griffin?
Aye.
Councilor Browse?
Aye.
Councilor Young?
Aye.
Councilor Garland?
Aye.
Council President Rosner?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Renee, thanks for making that motion. I don't like to make motions. And thank you, Joy, and the applicants. Welcome to town.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you.
Appreciate
Expanded
it.
by almost 30 acres tonight. Nice job.
Awesome. Thank you.
Job property. So happy development or
you.
negotiating.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you, Joy, for putting all that together.
All right. Eric.
Good evening, Mayor Mays and City Council. First, wanted to thank you for giving me a reason to put on a collared shirt. It's been a little while, but I'm happy to have the reason. I'm going to share my screen with you here.
Well, Joe's wearing a tie for the first time in 2 weeks or 4 weeks.
That's council night. It's tradition.
No more Hawaiian shirts for you, Joe.
All right, so hopefully everyone can see the screen PowerPoint that I've shared. My name is Eric Rutledge, Associate Planner here with the City of Sherwood. Be given the staff presentation, a brief presentation on the Pauley annexation petition. It's case file LU 2020-010AN. And as was described in the staff report, the applicant has requested a continuance to the hearing. So I'll just, for tonight, give a very brief introduction to the site and then recommend that the hearing be continued to a date certain. Moving on to the next slide and the location, get my pointer pin here. So the property that is proposed for annexation is on the south side of Oregon Street, both on the east side of the of Tonquin and the west side of Tonquin, a small portion on this corner here. As you can see in this grade area, the property is surrounded by land that's already been incorporated into the city limits, almost in all directions, to the north, to the east, and then also here to the southwest. And just for reference, a street view you may be familiar with as you're driving out of town on Oregon Street. Here's Tonquin Road, and the property is on both sides of the street of Tonquin Road here, as you can see in the street view. Some details on the proposal. The applicants are proposing 10.9 acres to be annexed to the city of Sherwood, 10.5 acres total to be annexed to Clean Water Services boundary. Both would include approximately 1.4 acres of right-of-way. And the reason for the difference there is that a portion of the property, this corner here, has already been annexed into the Clean Water Services boundary. And so in order to not bring that in twice, or it's just not necessary to bring that in. So that's the reason for the slight differences there. And as mentioned, the applicant has requested a continuance to a date certain of October 6th, 2020. Sorry, the typo there, should read 2020. And the reason for the continuance will allow the applicant to review preliminary alternatives for street and driveway intersection locations to serve the site. As the previous applicant alluded to, the city is working with applicants now to sort of flesh out some of the access requirements for the Tonquin employment area. And the first step of that is the Oregon Street Access Management Plan. That process is being led by the city now, and will help to determine the interim and permanent driveway locations for each site along Oregon Street that are under consideration for development, and also help the applicant and property owner understand any future street intersections that will come into Oregon from the TEA, and how those new intersections and streets may impact their site. So to summarize, I think the applicant is, not to speak for them, but just to say what I've been hearing, it's to provide a little bit more information on what the requirements would be for driveway and street intersections prior to coming into the city of Sherwood. And so based off of that information, the staff recommendation for this evening is based on the ongoing access management study and the applicant's request to continue the hearing. Staff recommends continuing the poly-annexation hearing to a date certain of October 6th, 2020. And that concludes the staff presentation.
Great. Thanks, Eric. Any questions of Eric at this point? I think we will all agree to honor the request to continue to a date certain, but if you have questions about it at this point, now's a good time. I see no hands up. I see anything?
No, I'm good.
Getting up.
Thank you, Eric.
Getting up.
All right, looking forward to the next hearing.
So, Josh, should we make a motion to continue to that date certain versus 2 weeks from now?
Yes, please.
I'll make
Someone like to make
motion. Yeah, I can make a motion to continue to that date certain of October 6th. I believe that was the date.
Yes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the motion to continue ordinance 2020-008, the second reading to be October 6th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, motion carries. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, council. Next on the agenda is city manager reports. Joe?
Mayor and council, the only item I wanted to touch upon, and this is for folks watching at home, either live or taped. There's lots of road construction still going on in town, especially on Sunset and O'Pine, and there'll be some work down near Woodhaven Park in the next few weeks. But the big project, which is very, very close to finally getting done, is the intersection, the county project, Sunset, Kruger, Elwert, over by the new high school. If you have not driven over there recently, the roads are all largely open now. They still have a number of button-up type items that still need to get done over the coming weeks. The big switch to the permanent lighting has not happened yet, but we are hoping to see that, which will have the long-awaited left-hand turn lanes, dedicated left-hand turn lanes, which I know everyone will love.
Yeah.
So we're getting very close. Stay patient, but I wanted to provide an update that they're not done with everything there quite yet. So hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, everything will be wrapped up. Of course, the rush to have it done prior to the opening of the new high school is no longer an issue because, obviously, because of COVID. So most of my senior leadership team is on the call. So if you have any questions for me or my team, we're happy to answer anything that may be on your mind tonight.
It's safe to say we're still pressing our partners that just because the schools are not, there's not a rush to open the schools, it doesn't mean they shouldn't, or still a rush to finish the project. The last 2% should not take a month.
The answer to that is yes, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, Joe, I have a question about the roundabout. I mean, you might not know, but when I was over there on Saturday, it seems like, do you think they're still going to add painting, striping to the roundabout? Because it's white cement, it was a little hard to see where the lines were.
Had the same issue, Russell.
Yeah. Julia, do you know off the top of your head? Because I had the same concern, and I assume that there'll be pavement markings in the roundabout, but
I too had the same concern, and I do not know off the top of my head because I just assumed that there would be pavement markings. But I will, after driving through there, so I will.
One way or the other, there will be.
Yes, exactly.
There'll be tire marks all over that center island.
Yeah. I'll be the blocker. Renee can be out there with a spray can of paint, and we'll be good.
I'll help.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it's nice, it's wonderful, but it would be nice if that it was a little visible. And white on white, I don't know.
Definitely
I'll see it first, I guess.
first time through. Yeah.
Having recently driven around that circle with a teenage daughter who's learning to drive, it was definitely confusing understanding how that worked.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Joe, another question about another roundabout. I know we had talked about, Century, and did we get that? Was it the westbound entrance to Walmart? We were going to get a sign. Weren't we going to get a sign that delineated the how the lanes were divided? Did we get that?
So there are minor improvements, including better signage and, more importantly, narrowing that down to one lane. Remember the consultants that I want to bring back to council with a final estimate of the costs to do that work. I talked to Craig Sheldon, who's on the call. That probably would happen in the springtime in terms of the construction. So,
Joe, when can you have that estimate back to us?
Craig and Julia, do you have a sense in terms of timing to get a final estimate on the improvements at that roundabout?
I'm gonna. No, I don't. I know that in the study it had the estimate. I will get back to you on that.
It was a preliminary number, Julia. I think we need a final estimate. And the other thing that Councilor Rosner reminded me is, instead of doing one of the roads down to one and keeping 2 lanes in the other, is like we should at least look at doing 1 lane throughout that whole roundabout.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep it simple.
Yes. Yeah. The estimate that was in the report didn't reflect that. So that's why we have to go back and get an updated estimate.
I would agree, Joe.
It shouldn't take that long to do that, though.
Joe, I would agree that it needs to be the whole thing needs to be looked at, because that was only for the one option in that plan.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I remember our conversation that the takeaway was that we wanted to look at the one lane all the way around.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you know, the sooner the better. Not that we have to rush it, but I mean, it shouldn't take another 9 months.
So, Counselor, we're coming up on the first part of September today, and you're only going to be able to stripe so long this fall.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go into the winter, and I can tell you, with all the paving going on, you might not be able to get a striper in here.
Okay.
For a while. I know our slurry seal folks, they were gone to finish up work in other places. So the striping crew on that. So there's that. Look, that's why I told Joe when I talked to him earlier this week that it might be early spring before we could actually get somebody here to do it.
All right.
Because it's going to be going out to bid for the project. It isn't. So we're going to have to go out to bid for at least 2 weeks probably. So there's a process once we have the cost estimate back with a set of plans.
Thanks,
because
Greg.
of the dollar amount.
Joe, you were planning on doing a supplemental budget this fall. So
Yes.
ideally, if we could at least get it into that, so we're all set to go.
Correct.
That'd be great.
Oh, I also, maybe this is a Julia thing, but I know she sent the email about the grants program. Can we maybe get an update on that, how that's going? I know we closed on Friday, that opening, and there might be a second round. If that was talked
Great
about,
question.
that would be great.
Yeah, so I don't have much more of an update other than what I included in the email. In the Business Oregon grant, we had 35,000 available, and while we got more in requests than that, they were not all eligible, and there's pretty strict criteria from the state. Where it looks like we might have about 30,000 worth of requests from that one, and so we're exploring. For 5,000, it's really, frankly, not worth to go out and advertise and go through the process. So we're sort of exploring whether or not we can give that 5,000 back to the state without ramifications to the rest of it, or proceed with another round for the Business Oregon. We'd prefer not to, because I think it'd be very confusing to have, we think that may have contributed to the low submittal as well, just to have the two, and then again for $5,000, we feel like it's a lot of work on everybody's part for not that much result. The Federal CARES Act had 248,000 available. We received, I think I don't remember off the top of my head, about 180 worth of requests, but again, some of them applied for more than the grant program allowed. So for example, they said we need 20,000. Well, based on the number of employees and things like that, they only would be eligible for 5,000. So that's where we get down to that 80,000 number, but we are definitely planning on going out for a round two and advertising and really continuing to try to encourage folks to apply. If you recall, that was a fairly short window. I think we advertised it a little bit longer, but it was only open for a week. And on Friday, before it closed, Bruce was pretty much all day answering questions from businesses, and I believe that all of those people submitted applications, but it still was pretty evident that there was a lot of demand and a lot of questions, and if we can open it back up and open it for longer, we'll probably get more, as well as I've gotten some feedback today from some council members about clearly there's more need than the grant program was giving out in any one segment. And so we want to make it possible for people to apply again. The system had already given people points, extra points, if they had not already received money from the city. And so people that are new applicants will sort of have a little bit of a leg up over people that are applying again, but it allows us to give additional money out for people that need it, as long as they're spending it on something else that they haven't already gotten reimbursement for.
Julia, can you remind me, what was the max they could receive on that?
On the Federal CARES Act one, it was 5,000.
Okay. And you had applicants who applied for more than that.
Yeah, and part of it's just the way they I understand why someone would do that.
Explain their need. Yeah.
They said, here is our need, here is our expenses, and I think they just figured we'll make it really, really clear that we need this money rather than just asking for the 5,000. And some people did just ask for the 5,000, so it just kind of depends on how they submitted their application.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Other questions from any council members? Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, and staff. Council announcements. Who'd like to announce something?
I'll
go. You
Nope.
go first, Kim.
I beat you.
Jinx.
So I attended the police advisory board meeting last week or the week before, maybe. My weeks are all running together. And they're still going through the policy manual, which I think is really a great exercise that Chief's walking through the advisory board with. And advisory board's doing a great job asking questions. They come prepared, having read the material and ready to engage in some good conversation. So I think it's a very good process, and I appreciate Chief doing that. And then I'm also the liaison to the YMCA Board of Managers, and although we haven't had some meetings lately because I think they're a little busy just trying to keep up with COVID, we've still got a lot of exciting things going on, even though the facility isn't functioning in the way it normally would. But they're still busy. And one new thing, I'm sorry, I'm reading my other computer over here, that they're doing, that they're going to be offering is Learning Labs, which is Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 2:30, where it's going to help parents out with children and their distance learning, and also including like their art and fitness and an engineering class type stuff. And because I know with this distance learning, there's going to be a lot of parents that are in a bind with having two working parents. Some don't have the option to stay home. So I think that's a really good tool that the YMCA is going to be offering. And with that, they're still doing their group exercise. They still have online classes. They're doing virtual tutoring. And they have on-demand workouts, which means they're just online. You can go do it anytime you want. It's not like a specific class, a specific time. It's recorded videos for you. And then I believe also on Wednesday, they're handing out food boxes every Wednesday. And I guess the demand has been pretty high, that they've also, been putting a call out for more food donations as well. So if anybody has any donations, drop it off to YMCA and help keep those food boxes full for those Wednesday pickups. That's it.
Awesome. Next. Anyone?
I'll go.
Okay, Russell.
Let's see. The Parks Board is meeting on the 14th this month because next Monday, the first Monday in the month, is Labor Day. So it'll be on the 14th at 7 p.m. Like many of you were mentioned, I went to the last open house session at the new high school at 12:30, and I happened to have all three project managers, one over the green wing and the gray wing and the blue wing. I also had a lively discussion with the wife of the general contractor, and school board member Pat Allen was in the group. It was great. We were there like an hour. It was the last session, so they talked about all kinds of things. And one of my favorites was they talked about how I asked Patrick. I said he was one of the project managers. He's off to pretty soon to the Evergreen School District up in Washington to start another project, right? Anyway, he said his favorite thing about our project was they started in dirt. It wasn't a remodel. It wasn't a tear down, build, move over, tear down, build. It was just the sky was the limit, and he absolutely loved it. And then I forgot what her name was. She was in charge of the, I think she was the sports wing. And she said, we were asking how many bricks. We were going through the skywalk on that third level, 460,000 bricks in the high school at 8 inches each. It's 58 miles of bricks. So the three of them have never ever worked on a project like this. And I would just like to give a shout out to Jim and Heather and the school board and all the staff at the Sherwood School District. The facility is amazing. We toured all kinds of areas, and if you all seen the aerial view that the Chamber of Commerce sent out, and all with music and all that, it was awesome. That's great. That was basically the same tour that we did. But I just think we're so fortunate. For the citizens to say yes to $247 million bond and build such a great facility that'll be there for decades and decades. It's great. It's amazing. So that's it. That's all I got.
Thanks, Russell. Doug? Okay, Scott.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on that, I do want to thank the school board for the tour. We were there about an hour as well. I think I was in the group right before Russell's, and had the track coach, the head track coach, who's been coaching track for 40 years at Sherwood. So he had a lot of insights, especially around the athletic facilities as well. And just want to thank them for a great tour and a great experience. And for anyone who wants to, I know the school published a YouTube video tour. I think it's about 10 minutes long, but it's essentially the same tour we took, and it's really good video, pretty comprehensive. So definitely go out and check that out. And can't wait to get our kids all in that building and just let them experience, that amazing facility. So yeah, kudos to everyone. Planning Commission, a couple things there. They do have a work session next Tuesday, a week from today, 6:30 p.m. It will be streamed live on the YouTube channel. That's particularly around comprehensive plan updates and the housing section of that, particularly in the housing needs analysis. And speaking of the housing section of the comprehensive plan update, as you know, there was a public engagement process over the last couple of months. I think we got close to 1,000 different engagements from the community on that, and that has now been turned into a set of draft policies and objectives, and those will soon be back online for further comment from the public. So check out Sherwood2040.org. Keep your eye out there. I think sometime in the next week or so, we should see a follow-up brief survey. It's just basically a list of the objectives, and you get to say whether you like it, don't like it, neutral, and then provide any kind of free-form comment you have back around those policies. So definitely want as much feedback as possible on that process. It's super important. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Doug. Sean?
Yeah, I'll go. I also was fortunate to be able to tour the high school today. Just breathtaking, or this weekend, breathtaking, just amazing. I mean, it's just another little jewel in our city here that is going to afford so many of our students just such a great education. So many of the specialty classrooms, the metal shop, the wood shop. Jim Rose was on the tour that I was on, and he said that so much of the equipment was really brand new. They brought some over from the old school, but a lot of it is, top of the line, new equipment. The theater is stunning. It's so good, and I'm glad that our students and parents will be able to attend performances for their students and actually be able to attend. There'll be a capacity for these parents to attend some of these events. So that's great. So big thanks to the school district, the school board for kind of hosting us, Karina Ruiz and the Brick Architecture. I attended several of the open houses that they had throughout this entire process. They really did engage the community to take a lot of input from the community all the way through, very open process. And I think they did a fantastic job in getting us to where we are. So big thanks to everybody involved in that high school. Recently attended as the liaison, the Cultural Arts Commission. They're still working on a kind of an art installment that they're going to try and get in soon while we still have a little bit of daylight. There'll be some information on that coming shortly. But also just wanted to call out a recent resignation from the board. Bernie Sims, who was the chair of the Cultural Arts Commission for quite a long time, recently resigned from the Cultural Arts Commissions to focus on some other endeavors. So I think most of us...
You let him?
I was not consulted. It certainly would not have been allowed had I been asked, because he was fantastic, a true lover of the arts, as all the people on the Arts Commission. But Bernie is really a huge member of our Sherwood community, and was a great leader for that board. So just really wanted to call him out and give him a special shout out for everything that he's done for Sherwood. And hope he enjoys a little bit more of his free time, although I know he's dedicating himself to some other activities here right now. And then just the last thing, I'm Mr. Repetitive here with my some of my public health comments, but with Labor Day coming up this weekend, talking to Pat Allen and listening to the OHA, just really want to encourage everybody to be safe and smart this weekend with Labor Day holiday. If you're planning, when you're planning of events, please be considerate of the size of your events, who you're hanging out with, masks, social distance, the whole thing. Our numbers are coming down. We're actually under 200 as of Monday, and I understand the whole Sunday thing, but I mean, their numbers are definitely coming down. But as we've seen traditionally, every holiday we see a spike because people get together, perhaps don't practice good social distancing practices during these holidays, these group gatherings. So I know it sucks to not do what we always used to do for Labor Day, but if you could, it would be great to maybe take a pass on this one this weekend, or keep it very small and very safe. So that's it for me.
Thanks. Who'd like to be next?
I'll go. So I too toured the high school. I did everything that everybody's already said. I got to take a future Bowman with me, and he even sang on the stage. He kept it together until we were at the end of the tour, and then he cut loose with "I'm hungry, Grandma." But it was a great tour. I also want to give a shout out to both the library and to the senior center, because they are doing awesome things in this COVID time. The senior center alone served 564 meals the month of August, and are over 3,000 during the COVID period. They're the only agency or organization that's still serving hot meals to the seniors who need them. So that's pretty awesome. And I want to give kudos to the 2 volunteers that are calling our seniors just to check in and make sure that they're doing great. And Adrian gave you a update earlier, but they too are doing wonderful things as far as keeping their services going. Over 1,700 kids were served through books and different kits, and just continuing their services online has been fantastic. I also attended the Housing Advisory Committee meeting, and I am, believe it or not, on a subcommittee that's putting on a conference for the elected officials in the month of October. So stay tuned for that. That's all I have.
Awesome. Thanks, Renee. Tim?
Well, everybody else has talked about the new high school, so I'm going to talk about it too. I'm going to take it from a slightly different angle, though. I remember back in 2008 when we were facing a lot of budget cuts, and the schools had to cut a lot of the arts programs and band programs and choir. We had a lot of great organizations in this community, like the Voices for the Performing Arts and Sherwood Foundation for the Arts, that really stepped in and kept that alive and actually grew it in our community. And it's so nice to see a new facility out there with such a great stage that our kids are going to get to use to explore that part of their passions for the arts. It really is amazing, and I'm going to actually thank all the voters in Sherwood who approved that bond, because the school system couldn't have done it without. But it's just an outstanding facility. And just to pile on a little bit more about the wood shop, the metal shop, the computer labs, the photography labs. I mean, we really are going to have world-class facilities for our kids here. Now the trick is to see if we can get staff to run all those programs, because that comes out of a different pile of money, as anyone who's familiar with that knows. But it is a gorgeous facility, and I think our kids are going to get a lot of use. I tried to get my daughter to go on the tour with me. When I went Saturday morning, we were in the very first group that got to go through the tour, but apparently sleep was more important for her that morning. So I took my wife instead, but we had a great time. So, and I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, everyone. I don't know what happened between your guys' tour and my tour, but my tour in one very important element sucked of the school. It was short. I saw a hallway that was nice. I saw another hallway that was nice. I saw a stairwell that was nice. I saw some beautiful views. It's impressive, but I wanted to spend more than 30 minutes in the building, so I now have an excuse or somehow to break in or get invited back or dress up as a student, or I don't know what.
Mary, did you want to sing on the stage too?
What?
Did you want to sing on the stage too? Did we not let you sing on the stage?
I could wail with the best of them. Scare away anyone that would be in hearing distance. This is true. So no, I didn't even cross my mind
I was there like an hour and 15 minutes on my tour.
Yeah, we were like
I
20.
went around the track. I shot a basket, sung on the stage, the works. It was great.
Like I said, I got the short. You know, might as well just put them in a golf cart tour, get them out of there.
I was on your tour. It was very quick.
But it was nice to open it up, and they got a lot of people through that were eager to see it. And the video, I haven't seen the video, but I've heard that's good. Yeah, and I don't think I'll pass for a high schooler to try to sneak in that way. Darn it. But anyways, it'll be good when it's open. We all think phase 2, we should be there, but hopefully we'll be there soon. Sean, I appreciate your comment. We need to be safe this weekend. The numbers are all looking very good, but they need to continue to look good so we can get to phase 2 and get to students in the buildings someday. Interesting couple weeks. I had a League of Oregon Cities board meeting, and it happened much quicker than, in the new pandemic with all these virtual meetings. All these things go faster because we don't have to travel anywhere. I was invited to a conference call with 40 or so other mayors in Oregon with the governor, urging us to be vigilant and encourage our communities to have good behavior in this pandemic so we can continue to open the economy and open up things to our young and old alike and keep everyone safe. And then had another special conference call with Catherine Harrington of our county board chair with the mayors, more or less reiterating the same thing, but also having a conversation about the weekend events in Portland. So it was a good call, interesting. That's about all of that. Shout out to Julia. She covered for Joe last week when he was on holiday. I think he was on a cruise in the Caribbean with 100,000 of his friends. And anyways, Julie did a nice job. I think she enjoyed it because she was able to call me and ask me questions that were burning in her cranium, I think. Is Julia? Yeah, Julie's on the line. She's hearing this. So Julia, nice job. You put out you took care of everything that popped up in Joe's absence.
I appreciate that there wasn't very much that popped up in his absence, but thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Julia. And I was amazed at how efficient and how smooth things ran. It was a great week. Better than most.
Yes.
I'm just kidding, Joe. No, I appreciate it, Julia.
Yeah, that was good. Appreciate that. And you can work with others. You interacted with Josh for a 2-hour call we had on Friday, and
2 hours.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we got into some granular detail of things, stuff to remind myself and also get perspective on with the Oregon Street contaminated properties, and just went down a list. She had a list for me, people. It was good.
Good.
I just, for clarification, I did not do all the talking. Just saying.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you.
My thoughts, so I provided them. She can do with them what she wants. So greatly appreciated. And now, Julie, it must be your turn to take a nice long holiday. So don't tell anybody what your plans, but just go. Just send a text to Joe and just take off.
I'll think about that.
Anything else for the greater good?
Just one quick thing, maybe a request for Joe. I don't know if anyone has noticed, the school board is now meeting in person. They're taking remote testimony like we do now, and they're still YouTubing it or streaming it out for the general public so they can observe those meetings. But I just put it out there. Maybe Joe, you can look into how they accomplish that. Maybe that's something we can think about as a council about actually doing in-person meetings. They did it in such a way where they basically had a big square formation of tables and one person every other table around the table is how they did that. But I don't know about the rest of you, but for me, I would love to be able to sit in a room with you guys again.
Yeah, something to talk about when we might be able to do that. Of course, we have 7 versus 5 and a few staffers that we love involved as well. So, all right. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Council, and Joe and your crew. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. We actually stretched it out for an hour when I thought it was for sure going to be a 10-minute. Thanks all.
Thanks all.